So today we're talking about Mascarpone, which is an Italian romantic comedy directed by Alessandro Guida and Matteo Pilati. It stars Giancarlo Commare, Gianmarco Saurino and Carlo Calderone. So we're boys on film. My name is Phil and that is Sean Vickers.
Love your Italian, babe.
I tried, and now I'm going to get atted. So, Italian romantic LGBT romantic comedy. We love a love story, don't we? We love a
love story. Love a love story. Love you having one of those Gino Ginelli Italian accents.
How very dare you. It was a bit of a romp, wasn't it, in many ways? I don't mean as in comedy romp, I mean proper body romp.
It's a bit racy. It gave me like little bits of like the original Queer as Folk. I thought it was quite fruity.
Yeah, it was very fruity. Do you want to set the scene and tell us what the story's about? I mean, I already know, obviously, but for the people watching.
Let me tell you, Beth Yorkshire. So it's also Antonio. He's this 30-year-old man, like steady Eddie. He trained as an architect, loves baking, has this kind of long-term husband that they've been living with, and one day the husband comes home and says, "This has not worked for me, it's all over, I've been having an affair with our mate." Obviously Antonio is Devo, moves in with a sex worker called Dennis, and there the story begins around really Antonio's escapades and him basically refinding himself.
I was going to say to you, it always helps, doesn't it, in a movie where you like the characters. I mean, I think that's essential.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, sometimes if you really hate a character, that can be great as well because that's quite juicy. But I think it's quite essential, especially with a romantic comedy, because you want to be rooting for someone, and also it's great when they're fancying each other, and there's a lot of that going on in this film.
And they want to get rooted. Yeah, I find, often with rom-coms, it's sort of hit and miss, isn't it? I think the success of rom-coms is their chemistry. And definitely, Antonio is so likeable and lovable, and a bit kind of like boy next door with his big curly hair, and kind of like a little bit too innocent for his own good. And then you've got Dennis, who is like, this kind of like fly-by-night, wily sex worker who's a bit of a lol, whereas he's a bit birdcage, who's also lol and also super likeable. And then, the guy that owns the bakery, Luca, is also delicious and lovely. Everyone is kind of great. The casting is fantastic. And I think that's where, if I'm really honest, I went into this film going, oh my God, I think I know what's going to happen in this. And it's just going to be...
I know!
You and I, Phil, have watched a lot of films, gay films, where you're like, I'm not going to get that time back in my life. But this was different.
And I was totally rooting for Antonio because I think in some ways he was very different to all the other characters, and I think all the other characters were different in their own way. So I don't think they were really cliche. I think they were definitely maybe, friends that we all know in some ways. And I think you can certainly pick out personality traits as well that made them interesting. And the girlfriend, Antonio's girlfriend, who I think she met through his husband, I thought she was great as well, and she definitely added the comedy element to the film. And it wasn't necessarily like proper intense laugh out loud funny, but it was like that kind of charming chuckle, like I was chuckling along quite nicely.
I never at any point thought, oh God, I wish this film was over. And we've seen quite a few of those films. Yeah. Or make it 20 minutes shorter. Neither of those things came into my head. I actually felt like as if all of the cast were friends, because they had this real ease around how they all interacted with each other, which felt great. And that's why I was like, oh, it's really believable. And I kind of get all these stories, and no one felt jarring. There wasn't. So I think the casting team did a fantastic job, and I'd love to know a bit more about how that all came about, because it landed for me really, really well. And they'd all got their own. They were all well-developed characters. None of them was kind of like a bit of mise en scène for a bit of something else. It was actually very, very well done. So I found myself enjoying it really early on and being surprised that I was going to enjoy it, because I did go into it going, I think what's going to happen here.
It was light and frothy in not a cringy way. I don't think it was cringy
My middle
at all.
name's Phil, light and frothy.
It wasn't taxing. I never felt bored. I felt hooked right from the start, pretty much. And I think that's down to the likability, like I said, the characters, but also the performances as well, because I did believe it to a certain extent. I mean, it's that kind of romantic comedy where you have to kind of suspend disbelief a little bit. But like you say, I didn't think it was predictable, because it went in a direction, especially towards the end, that I did not expect. And as it ended, I thought, wow, okay, that's really good. That's definitely added some, points to my score, just because it wasn't that predictable, fluffy, cringy ending. It wasn't at all. It kind of, it was a good end.
It felt like they were lived experiences that you've seen your friends do. Like,
exactly.
You've seen someone leave and go to another town or another city, and you've seen someone break up, and you've seen someone suddenly get their mojo back and they're bonking 3 times a week, whatever. Like, you see all that, and that makes it like it's grounded in some level of fact, which I was like, that's kind of what happens. Like when he eventually gets his mojo back and he's bonking everything in sight, that's completely lol. It's kind of brilliant, you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. I thought it really charmed me.
I'm glad they explained the title of the movie as well, because all through the first half I kept thinking, are they going to explain it? And they did. And I think it was a story to do with Antonio's grandmother, who said that to make the best tiramisu, you have to really love the mascarpone on its own. So the mascarpone cheese has got to be perfect. It's got to taste all right on its own.
And there's a narrative with the mascarpone, because he's a trained architect and he has a love for baking. And so there's a story arc around that and around how the mascarpone plays a part in him achieving or not achieving his dreams, not his spoiler.
I thought it was well written as well. For a romantic comedy, I think it has to be for you to get sucked in. Because if the script is bad, especially with a romantic comedy, I mean, romantic comedies are not always my favourite films because there are so many bad ones. And I think this is a good one.
Yeah, so do I. And I have to say, I've been telling people to watch this, which is rare for me, because usually I go, eat shit, don't waste your time. But this one I've been saying, hey, this is film I've watched called Mascarpone. You should really get your hands on it. I don't know where it's, just get your hands on it. It's really good. So I'm out there, evangelising this movie.
Quick question, Sean. Did you fancy any of the guys in it?
I mean, there's quite a lot of one-night stands in there. I'm not sure. I'm thinking, long and meaningful relationship with many, if any of them. But cheeky bonk, why not?
I quite like Luca, the bakery owner, who actually cruised Antonio at the gym at the start, and I was like, "Oh, this is juicy."
He was very easy on the eye.
Yeah.
I also got charmed by the lead, actually, with his big curly hair and his kind of like naivete, kind of like ingenue, swishing around in Rome. Yeah, why not?
So it's called Mascarpone. Time to find out if it's a Boys on Film banger. I've got a funny feeling it will be. If it's over 60%, the combined score, it's a biggie.
What? Do you want me to go first? I went first last time. Do I have to go first? You go first.
Yeah, you go first.
No, you go first.
I'm going to go for 75%.
That's my number. I was going to go 8 and then I was like, oh no, don't be ridiculous, Sean. But 75 seems fair. I thought you might be like 72.765.
Yeah, I was expecting you to go for like 78 or 81.
I know you love an algorithm.
I haven't done any 0.5s yet, though.
No. Well,
save
your
that for the
0.5
next
is
one.
not loud. If I was trying to do half a star, you wouldn't let me do that. So
75%, it's bang on. It is a banger.
Woo. Banger. Go
it's
see
Mascarpone, available on DVD. It's on VOD.
Go see it. It's lovely.
Yeah.
It's really like juicy and gay and queer and delicious. Like Mascarpone. If you're not a vegan.
Yeah, if it's vegan mascarpone, no, there isn't actually, I don't think. I'm going to make my own.
So, yeah,
thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Phil.
And thank you, everybody, for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the videos on the screen. See you next time.
Bye.